Well, somebody's shopping because retail sales have been very good.
Yes. Well, they have taken some of the gains and redeployed them, especially now that the shelves are not as bare.
I want to ask you, since we have an audience of students today, what will the future look like for them? What are some of the key industries that they can expect to thrive, and which industries that they are so familiar with will disappear?
Sure. And I think both those questions are critically important for students and others to consider, because what's going to happen is not only are the 5 innovation platforms, and I'll name them again in a minute, not only are they going to scale exponentially during the next 5 to 10 years, but there's going to be a convergence between and among these platforms that is going to cause one S curve to feed another S curve to feed another. So explosive growth. I think growth on the order of something we've never seen before. So the 5 platforms are DNA sequencing. So the genomics revolution, anything around genomics. If you're interested in healthcare, become a geneticist. There's an incredible shortage of geneticists. And I think that's going to be one of the careers in highest demand going forward, as we begin to prevent and cure diseases now that we understand the genome, thanks to genomic sequencing. Robotics. Now, many people get concerned, wait a minute, robots and artificial intelligence are going to wipe out all the jobs. In fact, when we started ARC, Oxford University had just published an article saying 47% of all the jobs in the United States will disappear by 2035. And that's probably true because of all of this innovation. But we believe that these 5 platforms are going to create at least $12 trillion in GDP that would not exist otherwise. And it is our job to find out where those jobs are. So get involved with automation and robotics. There's terrible demographic related shortage cropping up all around the world here. Energy storage. So electric vehicles, we think all of transportation is going electric. Maybe not long haul air flights short term, but even that will go electric long term. So anything in the electric and helping utilities understand how they have to restructure and move towards more of a distributed ecosystem, perhaps incorporating Bitcoin into mining into the ecosystem so they can earn more money using the excess sunshine, excess wind power that they can't fit into storage. And so that will automatically flip over into mining so that they can build out their renewables base a little faster. Artificial intelligence, anything having to do with artificial intelligence, go for it. And certainly, if you're entering into companies, make sure that the companies you're joining have tremendous AI expertise and domain expertise, both, because they're going to be working together to help bring about this new world. And of course, blockchain technology, we are in the earliest stages of this, and it is going to be one of the most profound changes in the history of the world. Now, when I try and describe the drama here, now, none of us was around in the early 1900s. Automobile, telephone, electricity. Those were only 3 platforms that completely transformed the world and are some of the reasons that we're not farming today, right? Just think about these 5 platforms, and there are 14 technologies underlying them, like 3D printing in the automation space, or CRISPR gene editing in the genomic space that exist because of these major platforms. So I would, if you're interested, all of this information is on our website at arc-invest.com. If you're passionate about any of these platforms or their underlying technologies, what I would also suggest is following our analysts. Their responsibilities are broken out not by sector or industry as in the traditional financial world, but by technology. Follow them and follow who they follow, which you can look up as well, and pick just a few, because really what you will do is be on the right side of change, which is absolutely critical now, because from our point of view, more than 50% of the S&P 500, more than 50% of those companies are going to be disrupted. And they're in harm's way, whether it's energy, traditional financial services, retail. We've only begun the disruption there, believe it or not. Anything auto or transportation related in the traditional world, be careful. And anything, I think I might have mentioned this already, in the energy world. It's really interesting to see financial services and energy at the top of the list of performance for the S&P 500, because we think they're going to be the most disrupted of any of the industries. Inflation usually benefits value stocks, financial stocks, because interest rates go up more on the long end of the yield curve than on the short end. So financials have done very well this year. Energy year to date is up more than 50% in the stock market. Financials roughly 35%. Both of those benefit from higher inflation. A lot of commodities, for example, are in value indices. And so that just tells me that many people in the stock market do believe that inflation is going to be sustained. We do not. And there actually is in the stock market itself, within the stock market itself, there is some equivocation, because the top two sectors are energy and financials this year. But then we have defensives as the next two best performing. And so there's a little bit of uncertainty about whether this inflation is going to be sustained. Oil prices are up, and they might be coming down a little bit right now. But if you look at demand statistics, we are not back to the old highs in demand, and we would be surprised if we get there very soon. We think there's a lot of demand destruction, and especially now that electric vehicles are gaining a lot of share, we think that demand destruction is going to accelerate going forward. Supply is the issue here. You've got ESG strategies, basically pension funds and others, saying to corporations, I can't invest in your company if you keep spending on fossil fuels and not on renewables. And so we are seeing supplies being held back, not only by that phenomenon, but also by OPEC, which is something I don't understand, because they don't want demand destruction. So as I described before, Bitcoin as the first private rules-based monetary system, when you flip over into the NFT world and non-fungible tokens generally, what the way to understand it or to set it up is this is the first global, and global is a very important word, because these opportunities are scaling globally automatically because it's digital, right? First global, private, rules-based property system. The important thing here is digital ownership. Property rights in the physical world, if you listen to Thomas Sowell and others who have done this work in economics, property rights are one of the most important developments in order for society to exist, capitalistic society to exist. Nice rules, regulations, laws. The same thing is true in the digital world. And those of us who, aren't gamers, for example, have found it difficult to say, wait a minute, I could just copy that. Well, in the digital world, no, you can't. The ownership is verifiable. And what's happening, it's shocking to me, because when we went through 08, 09, the debacle, I remember I had a gold watch, for example. It was like a bracelet with a gold watch. But after 0809, I just took it off. I said, that is ostentatious. And, what's happening is real status is developing in the digital world as well. What you own is a big part of your identity, and the NFT world is verifiable, and the platforms guaranteeing verifiability are going to, we believe, scale quite significantly. I was just talking to our research team about NFTs and what's happening because of NFTs. If you want to think about it in a little bit more of a macro way, a lot of millennials and Gen Zers are foregoing physical consumption for what we would call, or what would be characterized in the economics world as investment, or savings, and savings equals investment. But that's not how they're thinking about it. They're looking at it as both consumption and investment. And they're being paid handsomely for saving in this way. And as they pull $100,000 after a few months out of an NFT, they actually do a little splurging on these status symbols. So now we've gone full circle, and it's just such an interesting dynamic, pretty explosive. And I believe it's real. I do not believe this is fleeting. We are moving from the physical world into the convergence between the physical world and the digital world.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar, and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much, much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.